Hello everybody and welcome back to Coffee Car Chats without any coffee today or any fun beverage. We just have water. I'm actually in the parking lot of my dentist because I have to get not only a dental cleaning, I also have to get a cavity filled. And I have not had a cavity in a very long time, since I was like a small child. And I was so shocked when I went to this cleaning in the winter time. I was like just expecting it to be a routine cleaning that I've done so many times. And the dentist is like, you actually have a small cavity. And I was just very, very surprised. My routine has not changed ever. I've been taking care of my teeth the same way I have for years and years and years. And I was like, what? I have a cavity? And he said, well, you did mention that you had a baby last year, and this is something we see a lot with pregnant and postpartum women, is that your teeth, I guess that the baby takes quite a bit of calcium and it affects your teeth, it affects the strength of them. And I'm not going to pretend that I know all of the details, but he was kind of explaining it to me. And it totally makes sense that after my first pregnancy and my first postpartum, I have a cavity. He says that it's quite common. But I got here just a little bit early so we could do a little chatting. Unfortunately, no coffee today, but that's fine. Water will be good. But today I want to talk all about manifesting. And this is just something I love talking about. I love sitting down with someone who really is open to hearing this kind of stuff and like sharing my thoughts on it. So I fully understand that this kind of concept is not for everybody. If this episode is maybe not your most favorite coffee car chats, I promise they will not all be like this. I just have to share some of the things I've experienced, especially in the last like 2 years. I will not pretend to be this expert manifester, but I don't really think there's a such thing. I truly believe in my heart that manifesting looks different for everybody. And I think that if you are somebody who likes to manifest, I think you've probably done it for a very long time and just didn't really realize you were doing it. Know that that's the case for me. I look back on myself as a child and there's just been so many things that I have manifested, or not even like fully manifested, but just these types of practices and the way that I speak to myself and the things that I visualize. But I'm not going to give every single example of that. I do want to talk specifically about manifesting my pregnancy and calling that in for myself and calling in the space for my son to grow in my womb. I really think that there was a lot of that going on. So for a little backstory, my husband and I got married in 2020. But we started dating in 2016. We've known each other for a very long time. So we got married and we both knew ever since we were like little high schoolers that we wanted to be parents. Like it was something that we talked about a lot and visualized our kids and how many kids are we going to have and their names and just like little high school relationship things, you daydream. Could be calling in too, but we were very content that when we got married, we didn't want to have our babies like right away. We were super happy with our life. We also got married young. We got engaged when we were 19 and we got married when we were 21. So not like crazy young, but definitely young. We were babies and we were just very content and happy with living our life together. We were also a military family. My husband was in the Marines. I'm also a bit stuffed up today. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's allergies or what is going on, but I woke up just a bit stuffy. So if my voice sounds a little crazy, that's probably why. We knew that where we were living was not going to be like where we permanently lived. So we just didn't really want to cross the bridge of starting a family quite yet. We started our family in other ways right after we got married. We adopted our dog Benny right away. We knew that we wanted a dog too. And for us, our animals felt very much like our little family. And we were so happy. And a dog turned into a dog plus 2 cats that I couldn't say no to. And then we moved to Iowa and lived there for my husband's job. And we adopted our second dog. So we just had a big, happy family full of animals. We were very happy, very content. And I remember getting questioned a lot about, when are you going to start having babies? And it's crazy. I talk to a lot of people who are married, and it seems like right around that 1 year married mark, everybody is just like, when are you going to have a baby? When are you going to be pregnant? We're waiting for your pregnancy announcement. But for us, we were not worried about it. I knew I wanted to be a mom. I knew it would happen. I was just truly not worried about like starting that. And then 2024 came. We celebrated 4 years of being married, and it was May. Actually, it was right around the time of our anniversary in May. And this feeling just came over me of like my heart being more ready for this. And it wasn't anything that I was sitting down and planning and thinking, well, when's the best time? When should we start trying? And when should we have a baby? And how I didn't think about any details. It wasn't like I was planning it. It was just this feeling that came over me. And I'll never forget it because I even journaled it. But we went and saw the Northern Lights. They were super bright one specific night. So we drove to this, like, it's called Sundown Mountain. It was in Iowa, so I can assure you it was not a mountain. But it was the ski resort, and it was like really, it was up on a hill, so you could see just, it was like sky for miles. It was really beautiful. And we drove up there with our dogs, and we watched the Northern Lights, and they were so bright and so beautiful. I have the best pictures of the hues and the pink and the green, and it was just gorgeous. And as we're looking up at the Northern Lights, there was a shooting star. And of course you have to make your wish on your shooting star. And I didn't even think about it. I held my womb, and I was just like, I wish for a child. And I just felt like I could visualize this child growing inside of my body. And it kind of took me back for a second. I remember being like, really? Like, do I really wish for that though? You know? And it was one of those things where my head was telling me like, no, we should wait a little longer. There was talks of my husband getting a different job that would actually have us move to where we are now. Spoiler alert, he ended up getting that job. But that was kind of like what we were waiting for, I guess you could say, to really start taking matters into our own hands to try. I made that wish on that shooting star. I went home that night and I journaled about it. And I didn't tell Al, I didn't tell anybody, because you're not supposed to tell your wish or it doesn't come true. I guess. I don't know if I believe that. But I wrote it down in my journal. I wrote this whole beautiful entry about going to see the Northern Lights and just the love that I have for my husband and our life. And at the end I said, and we saw a shooting star, and I held my stomach and I wished for a child. And I wrote in there, I'm writing it down, I'm not telling anybody so that it comes true. And I can remember being like, okay, like in my head I was trying to overthink things, but my heart just already knew. My heart knew that I had this feeling of the soul of this child being with me. And I felt my son with me before he was ever conceived. I felt him with me, around me. I could visualize him. I didn't know it would be a boy, but I could visualize this child. And I leaned into that. Like, ever since I saw this shooting star and had this feeling, I would just visualize ourself with the child. I would visualize his nursery. I would visualize my pregnant belly. It was really crazy. Like at night I would just hold my belly and I would just talk to myself and make space in my womb for this soul. And I would always tell myself, my body is a vessel for this soul to come into the earth. I would always tell myself that. About 2 months later, I got pregnant with my son Arthur. And it was really just a crazy time of like knowing it would happen and not overthinking it, like trying to overthink it, but just going with this feeling and trying not to question things, because you could, on paper, it probably wasn't the most ideal time for us to have a baby. We were really hoping to move, and so you could probably think of several reasons why this probably like wasn't the best time for us. But none of that mattered, right? Like none of that mattered when something is just so divinely meant to be. And I really rolled with that my whole pregnancy. I didn't question things. I just rolled with this feeling. And we ended up moving because around 20 weeks pregnant, I remember I was about halfway through my pregnancy, my husband had this job opportunity, and it was something we had been kind of hoping for ever since we moved to Iowa in the first place. We were really hoping for this job opportunity, and so he got it, and we were like, we have to take it. And he asked me, like, would you move now that you're pregnant? Like, are you okay with moving? And I just was like, yes, I'm okay with moving. I think this is so meant to be. I was seeing a doctor where we were living, and I was really happy to be settled down in our home, but like all of a sudden none of that mattered. I was okay with kind of being in this unknown phase of trying to find a house, trying to find a doctor, trying to find a job for myself. And those three things were like three big things that you should probably have when you're pregnant. And I was about to just get rid of all three of them, but I just wasn't afraid. I was so ready for this because I just trusted this feeling. We moved in with my mom because we were house hunting and we knew we wanted to purchase a home. And so we really wanted to sit on it and find the perfect home for us. It started to get a little bit stressful because there was this added pressure this time of a timeline. Our standards for our home was really quite low. We were okay with a small house. Like, we did not by any means need a large home. I was literally okay with a 2-bedroom, just a room for us, a room for the baby. We found this house. And if you can't tell by how excited I am, it is the house we're living in. We found this house and it was so perfect for us. Like, the second we walked into this home, we walked into this really cute little entryway with hooks, and I just instantly could picture like little baby jackets hanging on these beautiful hooks in this entryway, and making baskets and putting the kids' stuff in it. And it opened up to this beautiful dining room and kitchen, and every single room we walked in, I could just visualize our family living in this house. And I told Al, like, I really like this house. I really want to move on this house. This feels so right. This feels just so right. And the realtor we were working with had told us that they were having an open house actually on this house the very next day. We toured on a Saturday, the next day was Sunday, and they were having an open house. So our realtor had recommended that we do not put an offer in before this open house. She said that they will likely not accept it because they really are going to want to see if any better offers come along. And we had, because of my husband being a veteran at this point, we were using a VA loan to get our home. And when you use a VA loan, there's just a little bit more hoops that you have to jump through. Like, one of them is that you have to have a home inspection. There is no waiving a home inspection with a VA loan. And the housing market that we're in, or at least were in at the time, the only offers that were getting accepted were ones that were way over asking and waived the home inspection, just basically as easy as that could be for the seller. And we knew we had to have a home inspection. And we also were going to be offering a little bit less than asking, due to a few different things, and mostly due to us selling our home in Iowa and trying not to lose money on that. And it's a whole big complicated thing, but basically we had to stay in a certain price based on what we were asking for our house in Iowa, which we also did not officially sell at this point. So there was also a contingency put on for having to sell this home in Iowa first. So we just had a lot of contingencies, and an offer that's probably not going to look very good to a seller. We sat on it, and I was so I started to get really anxious, really started to manifest this house for us. Every single night I would lay down and I would just rub my big pregnant belly, and I would close my eyes and I would just picture myself walking in every single room from what I can remember, and where we would put things. And I was really getting into the visual aspect of it, and just breathing and putting on like manifesting frequencies and putting myself in this home. And this is kind of something that started to click for me that I used to do as a child all the time. I was always very visual. I would always visualize myself doing things, like down to what I was wearing when this thing was happening. What season was it? What was the weather like? Like, I would always visualize something that I really wanted. And whether it was like musical goals when I was very involved in music, and things that I wanted for myself, school goals, friendship things, like I would always visualize myself and put myself in this position. And I never like realized I was doing it. It was kind of just, I visualized it as me daydreaming. And I tried to trust that if this home wasn't going to happen for us, then something better was. And that's a manifestation technique that I've actually heard that really helps to keep you in the present, is to say, if it's not this, it's something better. And that's something I just listened to in a podcast. But back then I would kind of frame it as, if this doesn't work out for me, this wasn't our home. Like, this is not our home. Something better's waiting. I would kind of tell myself that. And luckily, the open house happened, and we got news from our realtor that night that they had not had any offers after the open house. So we made the decision then to put our offer in. And she said that she thought that that was probably the good timing, because they were probably going to be a little bit desperate for an offer. They probably would get a little bit scared having an open house and having no offer. So we put our offer in, and our realtor was very open with us that she wasn't very confident that they would accept it due to the contingencies, due to the home inspection, due to the fact that we were putting in a little less than asking. They accepted it. However, it was a bump offer, which, if you're not familiar with that, it basically means they're accepting our offer and we're going to sit on it and wait for A, the home inspection to be completed, and B, we have to sell our Iowa house. Like, we have to sell it. But if another offer came in, they could bump it. They could just get rid of our offer, essentially. They would have to give us a little bit of a notice, but they could do that for us. And so it's kind of didn't make anything better for me. It really just, it was like, okay, they accepted it. That's great news. They accepted this lower asking price. That's great news. But if a better offer comes in, like, we're out. Somebody could come in with more than asking and no home inspection, and we're instantly out. It was a couple weeks of this, and there had been a few tours that had come through, and every time there was a tour, I would just be like holding my breath, trying to lean into this manifestation mindset. And luckily, a little bit later, we got an offer on our Iowa house, and we sold it, and that was really smooth. And the home inspection went through, and so our offer then officially moved to like active no bump, so we could not get bumped off. And that really was like, I trusted then, like, this house is meant for our family. Like, this is going to be our nursery. This is going to be our house. And it came true, and we got our house. We closed on it in January, and we were able to set up the most beautiful nursery that I had been visualizing in this room. And this house was ours. It was just exactly where we were meant to be. It was in such a great community, and everything just fell into place for us. And our doctor that we ended up going through is like my dream doctor. He will deliver all of my children. Like, I will not go to anybody else. He is just everything I needed in a doctor. So that fell into place so beautifully. I couldn't have imagined delivering with anybody else. And I was able to get a job that I absolutely love. I teach preschool, and I found a job that I just adore, and the people I work with are just wonderful people, and just, it's almost like everything fell into place. It's almost like this was just so meant to be. Last summer, when I had my fresh little newborn, I started to get so many signs from the universe that we were just exactly where we were meant to be. One of them was, we were on our baby moon. We took a little trip to a spa and like hotel, and we check in, and our room number was 324. And I look at Al, and we're in the elevator, and I was like, 324, because that was our son's due date. And I was just like, wow, like, we're on our baby moon, and our room number is our son's due date. And I just think about, like, had we overthought and not trusted this pull to have this child, we would have never been due in March. Like, that would have never happened. We would have probably waited until this job happened or didn't for him and then make a decision, but like there was no overthinking it. And it's just like, then I get this card that has my room number on it, and it's just my son's due date, and it was so eye-opening. Like, he was always meant to be here. He was always meant to be right here, right now, where we are. And another big sign from the universe. This is actually a crazy one. This one like makes me emotional when I talk about it. Last summer I was on a walk with my tiny little infant newborn son, and we went a little further than our normal walking route. We have a very established route that we walk on, and we went a little bit outside of that range. He was probably sleeping or something, and I was just really enjoying my postpartum walk. And I noticed that there was an Arthur Court, and I was like, oh, that's so cute, you know, Arthur Court, that's so sweet. I didn't even know that it was here. And I even took a picture of my little stroller underneath Arthur Court. And I was like, that's so precious, that's so sweet. We kept walking, and the very next street was Joseph Street. And I also didn't know that this street was here. And my son's name is Arthur Joseph. And it's just, for me, it was just this most beautiful reassurance. Here we are, you know, we uprooted ourselves while pregnant with this beautiful boy. And we picked out his name before we ever even had this house. Like, before we were in this neighborhood, we picked out his name shortly after we moved into my mom's, actually. And we're exactly where we're meant to be. And I'm getting all these feelings of just the universe aligning and everything lining up for us. And then in our community where we live, there is an Arthur Court and a Joseph Street, like right next to each other. Like, this is just where we're supposed to be. And it's like, from that moment on, it's like I will never ever question signs from the universe, ever. And I really think that a lot of this was like me manifesting this life that I wanted for myself and calling it in and inviting myself to just be like, I'm calling this in, and I'm not going to question. I'm not going to overthink it. Like, if it's not this, it's something better, but I'm calling this in. But I am still getting just so many signs from the universe about everything, about where we're meant to be. And I'm trying to call in this new job for my husband, and there have been just a lot of like really exciting advances for it, where we've kind of been sitting on this for a long time, and there's like a lot happening ever since I kind of started calling this in, and it's very powerful. And I feel it. That's why I think like manifesting is so personal, and it looks different for everybody who does it. But I question nothing. That is my motto for this year, for 2026, is question nothing. I wrote that on my manifestation board because I just really think that when you start to get these tingly, beautiful feelings, that it means something. It means something big is coming. But I have a lot more like signs from the universe that are happening in real time that I hope to share someday, and I will definitely share someday. Thank you for listening to my very woo-woo episode on manifestation and signs from above, signs from the universe. I would love to hear stories. So if you have any stories that you would like to share, like, please reach out. I love talking about this stuff with people who, like I said, are very open to having these conversations. But I've got to go to the dentist now. I've got to get a cavity filled, unfortunately. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you very soon. Question nothing. Question nothing at all.